received at least 3/3 of the total allocation, which would amount to about 100 million per constituency, Mr. Speaker. But now constituencies are about 60.
Representing trade unions, 2, a member appointed by an umbrella body representing employers, and 3, 1 nominated by professional bodies as provided by legislation, and D, 1 person each nominated by the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance, and 2, the Attorney General. And lastly, 1 person who has experience in the management of human resources in the public service, nominated by the CS, responsible for public service. Mr. Speaker, this motion is discussing 230/2 requirements of Section 5, the National Police Service. And Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform members that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, as established, has been composed but has had a deficit of 1 nominee for the National Police Service. So, as Section 7 requires, it outlines the procedure for nomination of members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Section 7:10 states that the President shall submit the names of nominees to the National Assembly, while Section 7 (11) provides for vetting of the nominees by the National Assembly within 21 days. Mr. Speaker, through a letter dated 31st December, His Excellency the President notified the National Assembly of the nomination of 1 Ms. Elizabeth Wagoi Mushi for approval for appointment as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, representing the National Police Service Commission. You, Honorable Speaker, via the communication made on Thursday, the 21st December 2021, conveyed to the House that message from Heshi, the President, and subsequently referred the nominees curriculum vitae to the selection panel on her recruitment to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for approval hearings. And while referring the matter to the committee, Mr. Speaker, you directed that the committee should undertake the vetting within 28 days pursuant to Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act. You further directed that since the House was on long recess, the counting of 28 days would begin on 25th January 2022 upon commencement of the 6th session. Therefore, the committee was expected to table its report on or before Tuesday, 22nd February 2022, which we have already done, Mr. Speaker, and is subject of this debate. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, in compliance with the Constitution, Article 118B and Section 6 (4) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, number 33 of 2011, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed advertisements on the print media on 17th January 2022, informing the public of the nomination, the date and time and place of the approval hearing. He also invited the public to submit memoranda by way of written statements on oath or affidavit on the suitability of the nominee in conformity with Section 6 (9) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, number 33 of 2011. The memoranda was received on or was to be received on or before 24th January 2022. Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House that at the close of submission deadline, the committee had not received any memorandum for or against the nominee's suitability. Following those directions, Mr. Speaker, the nominee appeared before the committee on Thursday, 27th January 2022 for vetting, The committee examined her suitability based on the criteria set out in Section 7 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 33 of 2011. And in addition, the committee examined her academic credentials, relevant experience, knowledge of sector issues, and on leadership and integrity. The committee paid due regard to the procedure used to arrive at the nominee and any other constitutional or statutory requirements relating to the office in question and suitability of the nominee for the appointment proposed, having regard to whether the nominee's abilities, experience, and qualities meet the needs of the SRC. Mr. Speaker, I wish to submit that the nominee has work experience of over 24 years, having worked both in the private and public sector. She's currently serving as a Senior Director of Communication in the Ministry of Interior and Coordination. Her experience in the Ministry of Interior and Coordination will be invaluable to the National Police Service, within which she will be representing at the SRC. And she is aware and familiar with the welfare issues faced and suffered by the police officers in the country, and this will enable her to be a good champion of the National Police Service in the SRC. Further, her experience in communication will play a big role in improving SRC's communication strategy and in turn improve the Commission's relationship with its stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, our committee, upon consideration of the nominee's performance during the approval hearings and her work experience, our committee recommends to the National Assembly to approve the nomination of Ms. Elizabeth Wagoi Mushi for appointment as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, representing the National Police Commission in accordance with Article 230 into brackets 2 into brackets B, 5 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, our committee registers its appreciation of your office, Office of the Clerk, and the Committee Secretariat for the logistical support extended during the vetting process. In addition, the committee thanks the nominee for the Commission for the cooperation during the vetting process. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the committee also appreciates the cooperation of Kenya Revenue Authority, Ethics Commission, DCI, Higher Education Loans Board, and Office of the Registrar of Political Parties for providing references and background checks relating to the suitability of the nominee. And the reports we have received from these institutions are positive, and the clearance certificate has been issued in her favor. I also acknowledge and appreciate members of the committee for their patience, sacrifice, and commitment, which enabled the committee to complete its work. On behalf of the Departmental Committee of Finance, National Planning, and pursuant to Articles 124 into bracket 4 into bracket B, Section 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, number 33 of 2011, and provisions of Standing Order 45 into bracket 4 and 199 into bracket 6. It is now my pleasant duty, Mr. Speaker, to invite members to discuss, debate, support, and endorse the report of the committee and pave the way for the nominee to be appointed as a member of the SRC representing the National Police Service Commission. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, beg to move and request my colleague, the Honorable Member for Moro, Kuria Kimani, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kuria Kimani.
Honorable Chair, I rise to second, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second this motion on the appointment of Ms. Elizabeth Wangoi Mushi as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission representing the National Police Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, the qualification to be a member of the CRC Commission is contained in Section 5 of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission Act of 2011. One of the requirements, Mr. Speaker, for one to be a member of the Commission is that one is required to hold a bachelor's degree from a recognized university. And while the Permanent Committee on Finance and National Planning was interviewing this candidate, Mr. Speaker, we asked ourselves, does she hold a bachelor's degree from a recognized university in Kenya? And Mr. Speaker, we found that she not only has a Bachelor of Communication degree from Daystar University, but also holds a postgraduate diploma in business administration from the University of Pretoria. Another requirement, Mr. Speaker, is whether that person has, as contained in Section 2, Part B, is whether the person has knowledge and at least 10 years of experience in fields of finance, administration, public management, economics, human resource, or labor law. Mr. Speaker, we are able to establish that Ms. Elizabeth started her career in 1997 as a reporter at KTN, where she worked from 1997 to 1999. She rose the position of the senior reporter of the same nation media group from 1999 to 2003. Again she got promoted to become the corporate affairs manager of the same nation media group, a position she held between 2003 and 2004. She was later appointed as the CEO of Nairobi Business District Association from the year 2006-2008. After that, she became the Deputy Director for Africa Media Hub at the US Embassy in Pretoria, South Africa, a position she held between 2009 and 2011. Between 2011 and 2013, she was a Senior Africa Communications Manager at One Campaign in South Africa. Between 2014 and 2016, she was a Senior Director of Communications for Cabinet Affairs. And between 2016 and 2007, she was a Senior Director of Communications in the President's Delivery Unit. So, Mr. Speaker, we can authoritatively say that Ms. Mushiri has exceeded the required 10 years, and she has accumulated 20 years of experience in the fields listed as per the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Mr. Speaker. Another question that we asked ourselves as a committee is whether she met Chapter 6 requirement of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, we were able to establish that she had been cleared by the Kenya Revenue Authority. She was cleared by the Office of Registrar of Political Parties. She had clearance from the DCI, EACC, and the Higher Education Loans Board. Mr. Speaker, another requirement for one to be a member of this commission is you are supposed to have distinguished career. Is that you should not just have a career, you should not have just been a career, but should have been a distinguished career. You should have a distinguished career, Mr. Speaker. We are able to establish that this great lady of this country did not just pursue her responsibilities in the various positions she held, but she merited in those areas to warrant some of the awards as listed below. Mr. Speaker, she has received the award of Head of State Commendation. She also received the seal of the President of the US government, White House, and President Barack Obama. Mr. Speaker, she also got an award from the US government by Franklin Award. She also got the High Merit Award that was given to her by the US government, and the High Performance Award by the National Media Group during the time that she served at the National Media Group, Mr. Speaker. As a new member of the Commission representing the National Police Service, we were keen to ask what her role would be or what her view was on the issues of mental health among police officers. As you know, Mr. Speaker, almost every week we have situations of where police officers are either committing suicide, killing innocent people, or even their spouses or children, Mr. Speaker. And the issue of mental health, therefore, has to be looked into serious consideration. And as a committee, we tasked her to find out whether she knew of this challenge and what her views was on how to manage this, Mr. Speaker. She convinced us that one of the solutions is to hire mental health experts within the National Police Service, because the issue of suicide, the issue of this violence is a mental illness issue. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, it's very unfortunate when you hear respectable men and women of this society make a joke or political gimmick about issues of suicide and mental health. Ms. Mushi was able to establish that she is going to help with the pushing of hiring of this profession, this particular fields. She also convinced us that one of the reasons why the police officers have had these issues of mental health is about their housing conditions. Because, Mr. Speaker, one of the worst housed, one of the people in government that live in the worst housing conditions are police officers. You go to some camps and go to some police stations and you find police officers sharing a room. Some of them are married, some of them have children, and it's really a shame that in the year 2022 that these police officers live in this condition. And as a contribute to this, Mr. Speaker, my clarion call to members of parliament is to also allocate their constituent development fund towards building of decent housing for our police officers, and also building decent police stations for our officers. And I'm proud to say, Mr. Speaker, that in Molo constituency, we have established around 5 new police posts, including Mega, Kapsita, Nyakiambi, Mushorwe, and renovated our Elbagon and Molo police stations. And this, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that our police officers have a habitable place to live and to work. Because as long as they're living in deplorable situations, Mr. Speaker, even the respect that members of parliament have to these law enforcement officers is hardly there. And that's why probably one of the reasons why when they, in the normal duty of enforcing the law, they find a citizen who has done wrong, the first thing the citizens think is the solution is to give these people a bribe. Because they imagine that these people, of course, they don't just imagine, they know that these people are poorly housed, they're poorly paid, and therefore they know that giving them a token would, of course, really influence the decision that they make and look the other way if that person is doing a particular crime. Mr. Speaker, we also tasked her to ensure that our police officers are properly remunerated. Because again, one of the professions in this country that are very poorly paid are police officers. Last year, we saw a circular that was denying graduate police officers some payment. Along other cadres of government, an academic qualification warrants an increase in salary, where a degree holder should not necessarily be paid the same as a KCSE certificate holder. But a recent move by the police commission not to recognize these graduate officers has really demoralized these police officers. And one of my friends kept joking about them being called D-minor material. But these people, Mr. Speaker, offer exceptional services to this country. They should be properly housed and they should be properly remunerated, Mr. Speaker. We also tasked Ms. Mushi to find the issue, because the Salaries Remuneration Commission does not just deal in matters of Police Service Commission, but the entire Public Service Commission. And Mr. Speaker, we find a general view that the Salaries Remuneration Commission for a very long time has just been seen as that commission that looks into salaries of members of parliament. And for a very long time, the discussion about CRC, and most people when they hear CRC, they see MPs, they see the salaries of parliament. And we task her to really look at the mandate of the Salaries Remuneration Commission and clean its image so that issues such as wage sustainability, which is one of the mandates of the commission, is what the commission is seen to do, and not just seen as a witch hunt to especially to some professions, especially the members of parliament, Mr. Speaker. We also tasked her to ensure that the recruitment of police officers is fair. I think one of the jobs that Kenyans, young people apply, and they think whether it's there or perceived, that for them to get that job, they must give a bribe, is that of police officers. And this, Mr. Speaker, we know she's up to the task. And as complete, Mr. Speaker, when I sat down and saw Ms. Mushi present herself to us, she did not present to us as a woman. She presented to us as a profession, as someone who was experienced, educated, and up to the task. And this calls to all of us that we can have women, we can have young people of caliber, of qualification in positions of influence without necessarily electing them or appointing them just because they're women or they're young people. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion.
You support or you second?
And with that, Mr. Speaker, I second.
Now, members, I propose the question, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on the vetting of the nominee for appointment as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, representing the National Police Service Commission, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, February 3rd, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 250, Clause 2, Paragraph B of the Constitution, Section 7 of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission Act 2010, and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, this House approves the appointment of Ms. Elizabeth Wangui Mushiri as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to represent the National Police Service Commission in accordance with the provisions of Article 230, Clause 2, Paragraph B and V of the Constitution. Honorable Shamala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I do rise to support this motion. One aspect especially stood out for me, and it was the issue of the mental health of our police officers. Indeed, I want to agree with the honourable member that if we do approve the appointment of this particular member to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, that this issue of ensuring that our police officers, that our entire security officers of this country do be able to get assistance when it comes to mental health issues. I agree that they work under extremely difficult conditions. They also live under extremely difficult conditions. However, I do want to disagree with the fact that the Wananchi give them bribes because they know that they are underpaid. I think that value systems is the bottom line and the foundation for all people, whether you're poor, whether you're rich. We do also know of extremely rich people with billions and billions of dollars who will still also ask for bribes. But indeed, I reiterate, it is important that we do look into the issues of mental health and specialists be assigned in order to deal with our security officers who, along with the citizens of this country, are our first line of defense. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I support.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this report and recommendations of the Finance Committee and commend them for their usual. It's one of the committees that gives us very articulate reports, and you can follow the logic of the decision they have arrived at from the top page to the last. And I want to commend them and ask that they keep up that good work. Because when you look at it, really, there's very little to debate. They have given us the justification, they've given us a history of how Elizabeth Wangui, when she applied, how she applied, what happened, how she fits in. And for me, I'm just happy that it justifies what I had known about the specific candidate. I have known her from her time at the nation newspapers, from her time at the Nairobi Central Business District Association, and also in her current assignment in terms of her communication. And basically, having interacted with her, I have no doubt in terms of her commitment
to getting the right messages going out, and I think that was one of the things that came out within her interviews, that yes, she believes SRC is not quite well understood in terms of what they do, and she would hope to use her expertise in terms of communication to help SRC to be better understood. And most importantly also, represent the police to get the police case well articulated so that people can understand what they go through and why they need consideration. And indeed, the whole issue of also the wage bill and her private sector experience in that. And I think the question that we called upon as we dispense this our constitutional mandate is to basically look at what procedure was followed to arrive at the proposed nominee, which we now know that everything went well. Fine, the committee has proved that to us. Is there any statutory requirements for the position? And again, we have been given a whole justification as to how the candidate fits into those qualifications, from the academic qualifications to the work experience. And the third question that we actually called upon is whether the person is suitably qualified for nomination to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. And again, the answer is in the affirmative. We are aware, obviously, the various interviews were conducted, and I would want to record the thanks of the House for all the people who participated in those panels to come up with the names that were eventually passed on to the President, and then the President did pass on to Parliament, and then people who participated through the public participation in terms of guiding the committee on what to do. All these people are part of adding up in terms of or enriching the process of getting these candidates to be vetted. But most importantly, and I think I keep repeating this, you will not win the lottery unless you have bought a ticket. And there are several people, even when these jobs are advertised, who fear being taken through this rigmarole of vetting. And hence, so when you see a candidate, especially, somebody who is at the prime of their careers, who offers themselves for public scrutiny to say, I'm prepared, ask me all manner of questions, and tell me how I fit in this bill, it talks of a lot of courage. Because I know so many people would want to go through this thing, but they will say, is there another quick route of being appointed into these positions without having been taken through the committee, the parliamentary scrutiny? And I think the whole essence of this parliamentary scrutiny is not necessarily to get, to between A and B who is better, but it's to really bring out some of those latent issues that people will not bring out unless they are faced with a real scrutiny that comes out through being faced with a parliamentary committee. So you can see it's a person who has the confidence to face fellow commissioners and articulate the issues on behalf of the Kenyan people that affect the issue of salaries and wages, not just for the police, but for the entire country. So I want to congratulate her on that, being bold and confident and assertive that, yes, I'm offering myself for that scrutiny. And to encourage the ladies to come out and claim their space as we move forward. So, Honorable Speaker, again, this is a very straightforward matter. I hope the House will support the committee and support His Excellency the President in making that decision. And I want to wish the candidate, Wang Mushi, the very best in her new endeavor. I'm sure the House will do the necessary. And to just remind her, just as she was confident to apply, that when she takes on that position, she's doing it for the Kenyan public and not necessarily just looking at, she's nominated by the police, but when he gets the commission, it will be to look at the wider work of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in terms of how they carry out that mandate, and not necessarily to be stuck to just thinking of police matters. It's to really look at everything. You join that corporate body to help the Kenyan people bring down the wage bill, ensure people are motivated, people are remunerated, and that the productivity of the country is matched with the costs we are incurring in keeping those people in those positions. So with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, once again, I want to thank the Committee on Finance for the good work they've done, and I beg to support.
Honorable Oudo Ojiambo, member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I stand to support the report of the committee, as I stand to acknowledge the recommendations to appoint Wang Elizabeth Mushiri for approval by the National Assembly, it is important, Honorable Speaker, that there are a few obvious and glaring issues are raised in this House for record purposes and indeed for people of Kenya to appreciate the process that everybody goes through and some of the issues that are obvious for the people of Kenya to hear. First of all, Honorable Speaker, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is a commission established in the Constitution that was established in the 2010 Constitution for reason of bringing sanity in the welfare packages, remuneration of public servants and all those who draw funds from who draw salaries from public funds. While the intention was to rein on a beginning wage bill, ballooning wage bill, Honorable Speaker, the Commission has in the past few years has been used as a tool to fight some sections of public servants in this country. And of course, the soft target has always been members of the legislature. But nevertheless, we have come to accept and surrendered to their whims. Honorable Speaker, the law requires the National Police Service must be represented in the commission, that's CRC. And therefore, the process of appointing a member to sit in the commission is clearly set out in the Constitution, is clearly set out in the Act, and is also set out in the relevant laws and standing order of the National Assembly. Going through the report, Honorable Speaker, the number of Kenyans who applied for that one position was staggering, 80 applicants. The shortlisting committee shortlisted 7, and the 7 were Wangoi Elizabeth Mushiri, Dr. Julius Ochieng Olayo, James Ikumbi Ngului, Patrick Olen Kuraia, Dr. John Wahungu Masinde, Maina Njoroge, and Dr. Bilo Halid. Honorable Speaker, I need to draw to the attention of the committee and probably the nation at large that the interviewing panel, Honorable Speaker, comprised the chairman and 3 commissioners of the National Police Service, the commission secretary and representative of the principal, Ministry of Interior, and coordination of national government. Honorable Speaker, if you go through the CV of the appointee, it clearly says she is currently a senior director of communication at the Ministry of Interior and coordination of national government. Honorable Speaker, in short, and the long and the short of it, what I'm trying to say, Honorable Speaker, this was a very clear case. Sit in your own judgment. Honorable Speaker, this was a very clear case of setting your own exam, doing the exam yourself, and marking yourself, Honorable Speaker. Really, if you look at the composition of the panel, was their own panel. It would indeed even be easy to conclude, as many Kenyans have always said, most of these jobs before they even are advertised, the eventual appointee is already known. It's just a hopeless process to sanitize when the eventual appointee is already known. Honorable Speaker, it's practically impossible to tell me that there's a selection committee plus the appointment at the interview committee would have reached at any other conclusion, looking at the position the lady held in the ministry and looking at the people that are indeed necessary, that were appointed to undertake the interviews. Second, Honorable Speaker, if looking at the report again, the committee and even during the interview, it seems to emerge that three fundamental issues affecting the National Police Service. The servicemen and the servicewomen who serve this country diligently day and night. Number one was mental health. I would have imagined, Honorable Speaker, the National Police Service should have gone for somebody who has got expertise in mental health issues and not communication. The problem facing the National Police Service and the CRC is not communication, especially the police service, is mental health, poor housing, and competitive salaries. Looking for somebody with a communication background, Honorable Speaker, reinforces the view that this was an advertisement in futility. The owner or the final recipient was already known. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, the National Police Service, the service and the service women who serve us in this country, day and night, protecting our lives, protecting our property, and protect the integrity and the social fabric of this society, are members who are now going through a lot of trouble. If you see the number of suicides, the number of murders committed, the numbers of crimes committed by the police officers are alarming. It is a matter that the country must have a discourse. And it's a matter the relevant committee must surely sit down and have a very sober discussion. Honorable Speaker, in the rural areas, we have, through CDF, we have established police stations. We have established police lines. But Honorable Speaker, in the recent past, there has been a regulation that the public or government funds cannot be used to build police houses. Honorable Speaker, the question we are asking, in many rural far-flung areas, there are no rental houses. So if you make that regulation, where do you want these police officers to stay? That's how they end up staying in those tin huts with very low personal privacy, stress levels rises, and that's why you hear that endless murders and suicide. Honorable Speaker, you dump a policeman with a family, you throw him, you post him in far-flung areas, he leaves a family with a young wife, 2 to 3 months, and as my aunt normally tells me, a woman is not a stone. You'll come and dump her there for 3 to 4 months, you have gone. She has got feelings, and that's why you find many of these killings, if you interrogate deeply, are about love affairs gone wrong. Honorable Speaker, as a country, I know everybody appreciates their finances are the revenues are low, the budgets are tight, but the kind of money, Honorable Speaker, we keep on losing through corruption. And the lords of corruption are outside there campaigning as if they are saints, and everybody knows there are lots of corruption. If we can plug the roots, the holes where money is lost, we can improve the welfare of the police officers. Honorable Speaker, you are sending police officers to chase after thieves, to chase after thugs, and they have no vehicles. Many of the vehicles that were procured through dubious means, most of them have broken down. They are not serviceable. And now you find them, they are being killed, they are unable to maintain law and order, and now we come and start blaming that are underperforming. Honorable Speaker, we are going through an election campaign, which is very emotive, and crimes are going to be committed. Unless we continue to improve the welfare of the officers, we are going to suffer continuously. That's why the Salary and Remuneration Commission should surely look at the issues of the police officers and all those the security apparatus in a more humane manner, regardless whether we break the international ceiling on salaries and welfare. Otherwise, you can never have a prosperous nation unless the security is guaranteed. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, Kenya is one country. Every Kenyan, wherever he is, must be given an equal opportunity of landing a government job. This practice of actually having an appointee before you go through the hopeless process of appointment and even going to the committees for approval is discouraging serious and competent Kenyans from applying for these jobs. Honorable Speaker, since the majority have their way, I will support, but with those reservations that I've listed in my presentation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next is Honorable Ole Sankok, David.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also inject my voice on this very important motion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Elizabeth Wangoi Mushi is an extremely qualified and beautiful lady, and I'm pleased to hear her response, especially on the issue of addressing the mental health of the police officers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, she must go there if she managed to get this job and make sure that the issue of mental health is addressed from a multi-sectoral approach, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, because the remuneration of our police officers is pathetic. Where they live in is even worse, Honorable Speaker. You can imagine 3 families of police officers, and they are married, and they are within their active ages, Honorable Speaker, living in a tiny mabati house, Honorable Speaker, where the walls dividing them is only curtains, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you can imagine a police officer who have left his wife inside that tiny mabati house with 3 other active young men, 6-packs, police officers within that house, Honorable Speaker. The love triangle, Honorable Speaker, going through there, Honorable Speaker, can send any sane man into Mathare Mental Hospital, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, no wonder the statistic, Honorable Speaker, show that 10% of our police officers suffer from one mental illness or the other, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so it is extremely important that if she secure this job, that is the first point of address, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, but I also want to remind her that we have so much concentrated on taking the statistics of junior police officers, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, they are actually scary. If you are told 10% of our police officers, not only ordinary Kenyans, but armed police officers, 10% are suffering from mental illness, Honorable Speaker. And you know what they are capable of doing in our streets when they are armed, Honorable Speaker. It is too scary, Honorable Speaker. It is scary than even approaching a bush that you are told the lion is there, Honorable Speaker. If we approach police officers, 10 of them, we know one of them is capable of shooting us because of the mental illness, Honorable Speaker. And they have guns, and we have given them guns with ammunition, Honorable Speaker. It is too scary. So let her approach from that perspective by making sure that they are well remunerated, and also the housing must be up to standard, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I heard something of affordable housing. I think we should even start with the housing of police officers, Honorable Speaker. They are paid peanuts. And you can imagine somebody you have paid peanut and you are saying we are losing 2 billion shillings a day in corruption, and you will send the same police officers to go and collect the proceeds of corruption. And you are paying them peanuts. What will happen? They will be bribed, Honorable Speaker. And why are they being bribed? Because you as a government have refused to remunerate them well, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, but we have concentrated so much on junior police officers. And you know the fish start rotting from the head. So we also need to know the mental status of the senior people in the leadership of the Interior Security Ministry, Honorable Speaker. Starting from the CS, PS, IG, and all those directors, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know, I have some little information that Dr. Matiang'i was sacked from lecturing at a certain university by Professor Magoa. But you know, they never gave us the reason why he was sacked from there, Honorable Speaker. We don't know the reason, Honorable Speaker. So we also need to know the mental status of such characters who are heading such ministries, Honorable Speaker, because it is too risky for us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am getting tired of these appointments passing through this House and no representation of persons with disabilities. Professor Oundo has said that sometimes it's a predetermined end product, that all the other channels are just conduit of rubber stamping, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Article 54 of our Constitution, 2A, is very express in terms of appointive and nominative position, that there must be 5% representation of person with disability. For the past 2 or 3 years, we have not as a House vetted a person with disability. And when I talk of the past 2 to 3 years, I mean ever since some of us were kicked out of the mainstream government, Honorable Speaker. Ever since we become opposition inside government, Honorable Speaker, we have seen a trend where it has been difficult to see any person with disability passing through the vetting process, Honorable Speaker. And I respect Honorable Ndirango, Honorable Speaker, together with the chair of Finance Committee. Honorable Ndirango is a very ranking member of this House. If you must know, Honorable Speaker, this Honorable Ndirango is the MP of Royal Suburb, Honorable Speaker. Of course, some of you call it Royal Sambu, but it is called Royal Suburb, Honorable Speaker. So he's a very respected person, Honorable Speaker, but nonetheless, we need to have persons with disabilities being given positions as demanded by our Constitution, Article 54, 2A, again demanded by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, which Kenya ratified in 2008, and is also demanded by the Person with Disability Act of Parliament of 2003, session paper number 14, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I can't keep quiet because the last time I saw persons with disabilities being vetted in this House was when we had judges being vetted, like Honorable Laibuta and others, Honorable Speaker. The visually impaired judge of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, but the trend for 3 years now have been there is no person with disability being given any government position, Honorable Speaker. And I request the appointing authority not to punish person with disability simply because Ole Sankok is in another political persuasion, Honorable Speaker. Because that is a trend that is happening. They are punishing person with disability because of me. Let them come to me directly rather than punishing person with disability. Because, Honorable Speaker, I have seen and I have been told persons with disability who have applied for these jobs and they are qualified, Honorable Speaker.
Order. What is it, Honorable Wang?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I really wish to inform the member on what he has said about persons with a disability. So I would want to seek that if you can allow this point of order.
You want to give Honorable Sankok some information?
Yes, my Honorable.
He has to consent.
Kindly, Honorable Sankok.
Honorable Sankok.
He's my leader and I respect him. Give me within 30 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Sankok is my very good friend. And invited today, I was sharing with him during a certain committee, which he led in prayer, that his prayers will be heard in heaven. And Honorable Speaker, he has just alluded to a position that he has never vetted anybody, which is a position I would want to say in the next 1 week, Honorable Speaker, there is a commission which is coming in the House, and be prepared that one of the commissioners is a person with disability.
Honorable Wang, why are you anticipating that business? Don't anticipate the business, but anyway, he has had. Honorable Sankok, you have a minute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And let me thank my leader, Wang, for that information. And I really pray that it come to pass. And if it come to pass, Honorable Emmanuel Angwe, you'll be blessed by God, who also created us person with disability in his own image and likeness, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the qualification of Elizabeth notwithstanding, whether she is so much qualified is not my concern. Whether she worked on top of cars or work under the trees or the presidential delivery unit is not my concern. My concern is the issue of persons with disability also being given their rightful position as demanded by our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Whether she met the Chapter 6 of the Constitution, because I've heard Wahinya and Dirango saying that, Honorable Speaker, or whether she's under the influence of witchcraft or alcohol, that is not my concern. My concern is that we must have persons with disability also given their rightful share of government appointments. Thank you. I support.
Honorable Odhiambo Accord.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the committee, and at the onset also say that one of the reasons I will support is because she's a woman. And Mr. Speaker, I'm saying so because I heard the mover of the motion saying that we shouldn't just be appointing people because either they are women or youth. I want to indicate that constitutionally that is a reason to actually appoint a person because she's a woman or youth or a person with a disability. And the reason is because our Constitution is clear under Article 27 that the state shall take every action, including affirmative action measures, to lift the standards and ensure equalization for groups or persons that have been marginalized in the past. And such groups include women, youth, persons with disabilities, and persons in other areas that have been geographically marginalized and economically marginalized. And so, Mr. Speaker, I personally have no apologies supporting her because she's a woman. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I just want to indicate that I'm also glad that she's going there to represent the National Police Service. And Mr. Speaker, we know that our police service is actually one of the areas that support us very significantly. They ensure our security, but this is one sector that is usually treated not very kindly. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, I wish I could read a message that was sent to me 2 days ago by a random police officer indicating to me what the government has done there was a case that was taken to court that was affecting graduate police officers. And Mr. Speaker, they are the graduates who had already been awarded an increment, and because the ones who graduated after were not getting the same amount of money, the matter was taken to court, and subsequent to that, the salaries of the ones who had been given before was deducted. And so he was actually calculating, giving me even the cost of how much he buys cabbages at 250 shillings, how much he buys ajab, nunga called ajab, calculating how much his fare is and all that, and actually showing that now he has to leave his house because he's actually being evicted because he can't. That is linked to what we are talking about, mental health issues. That if we are not able to take care of our police service, and they are the ones who are taking care of us, how do you expect them to be able to take care of themselves? Sometimes we are thinking they are very, very complex issues that are affecting the police. But sometimes they are very basic issues which are bread and butter issues. And I'd want to encourage that as soon as she takes up office, that is the first thing that she needs to look at the Salaries Commission. Because the Salaries Commission is not just about MPs. We have other people in this country that are suffering, including the police. For those who have graduate police, who are not getting their dues, who are earning negative salaries because of the effects of that court ruling, I am urging the Salaries Commission to redress that issue because it's not fair. You do not actually seek to correct an unfairness by being fair with a category or group of persons. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, I would also want to encourage the government to take very seriously an issue that is emerging, which is which appears actually to be extrajudicial killings. I will not say authoritatively because I don't know yet. But when we are finding bodies that are floating in rivers, and you discover that some of them are actually police officers, that is really, really scary, Mr. Speaker, because if the ones who are protecting us are the ones that are getting killed and are being swept downstream in rivers, then how safe are we? So I would want to encourage that we look at what is the cause of these killings that even involving police officers. And Mr. Speaker, finally, because as the majority leader has indicated that this is a very straightforward manner, I just wish Honorable Sankok was here because he was alluding or making remarks which were disparaging against Ms. Honorable Matiang'i. I think we shouldn't be using the podium or the floor of the House to cast aspersions over persons who are not in a position to defend themselves. Honorable Matiang'i is not mental. You may disagree with him, but he is not mental. He's doing his duty as per the Constitution. If you don't agree with him, raise the matter in the constitutional way. Bring a motion here so that you can discuss. You would have given him notice so that he can also respond to that motion, and then other people can also respond to defend or speak about it. But you don't just raise issues aimlessly, because then you are the one who then appears mental if you just raise issues about people when they are not able to defend themselves. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I do support and also just encourage Honorable Sankok that indeed, if you look at the Constitution, for persons with disability, the percentages are at 5%, and it is progressive realization. As women, if you remember, Mr. Speaker, when the first Constitution came, I opposed it because there were no numbers. I know I've been in this country long enough to know that when you don't have numbers, people don't you will not realize actually what you're looking for. We left the numbers, the principle at 2/3 and only put 47. Up to now, we have not been able to get the balance of the 2/3. And I'm hoping once Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga comes in as the 5th, that we will be able to adjust and make sure that we get our 2/3 gender rule. With those few remarks, I support.
Honorable Wang, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the report and motion of the Committee on Finance and Planning, considering the approval of one Elizabeth Wangui Mushiri as a commissioner with the national with salaries and is very important in the lives of the police officers, or in the lives of Kenyans. And one Wangui Mushiri is being appointed, Honorable Speaker, specifically to represent the National Police Service Commission. I want to thank the selection committee for doing this wonderful assignment, Honorable Speaker. One, because she's a lady, and Honorable Speaker, what a man can do, a lady can do better. She is going into this commission with a wealth of understanding of the administrative authority she has, having also served in the OP, and having the academic qualifications, and overall, Honorable Speaker, the naturality that she's a lady. Honorable Speaker, what is affecting our police officers is a position, Honorable Speaker, to do with the social well-being, not necessarily the salary alone. How are they being handled in terms of their social environment? We changed from the police force to the police service and made them, Honorable Speaker, officers who relate with public, not necessarily by force, but by understanding through our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, the import of this, Honorable Speaker, is that they should be able to interact with the general public at a humanly range rather than at a force. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this one, Madam Mushiri, will be able to undertake representation of the views of the police officers in the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. What I would wish to seek from Madam Mushiri is that let her represent the police, but also work for the general public or general public servants in the SRC. Let it not be that she is going there only for the police officers, but the public at general, such that, Honorable Speaker, the decisions being made shall not just be in line with the police officers alone, but let them resonate well, reciprocate with the general public service as it entitled, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we've seen appointments of representing authorities like Parliament, which is represented in the SRC Commission. But this time, Honorable Speaker, as Madam Mushiri is being appointed in SRC, on behalf of the police officers, she is going to work with others. Let it be a unifying position that, Honorable Speaker, she is going to apply her wealth of experience from the administrative angle where she has been, put it together with other human resource officers that are in the commission, and come up with a mix of rules and regulation that will support the unified salaries of public servants. Mr. Speaker, when you look at Madam Mushiri and look at the general position of the police service, we want to ask her that what she has mentioned in terms of counseling. Speaking as a member of Budget Committee, the National Security Committee sought some funding to support the police officers, Honorable Speaker, in terms of the mental ill health of the police officers. What is happening, Madam Honorable Speaker, is not an absolute position of ill health like admission in hospital. It simply requires also some counseling. It requires explanations to the police officers. What is it that is happening with them? Why are we seeing that an officer turns a gun to himself? An officer turns a gun to his senior. An officer turns a gun to his neighbor. Honorable Speaker, these are challenging situations which simply calls for counseling and establishment of counseling through a body corporate like a commission which sets the rules on how the social well-being of our officers will be is a good thing. And that's one thing, Honorable Speaker, that we really want her to emphasize and say how are they going to work on it in terms of through SRC as a commission. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support this report and wish that my colleagues also join me in supporting it and voting for it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Honorable Kipyegon Ngeno. That member has taken leave. Let's get to the next Honorable Duati.
Sorry, Speaker, I want to contribute to the next. Sorry, yeah.
Very well, we shall get to the left. Honorable Makali.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support this important motion, and I want to start by thanking the committee for the good work they have done. Listening to the move of the motion, Honorable Speaker, you realize that this honorable lady has what it takes to do her work. She has academic qualification, she has a necessary experience, and I think, Honorable Speaker, because she has been nominated to represent the National Police Force, it is important, Honorable Speaker, that she carries that brief. You know, Honorable Speaker, I know the SRC is a national commission, but the commissioners there, Honorable Speaker, are appointed to represent specific groupings. And Honorable Speaker, this one has specifically been appointed to represent the police. And I want to agree with those colleagues who are saying even as she discusses national issues, most relating to salaries and remuneration, it is important that she focuses on the police. Why am I saying this, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, this House, as in the past, approved commissioners under the pretext that they are going to represent parliamentarians. And I'm sorry to say, from my own assessment, I don't think the commissioners we have appointed to go and represent us in that commission have actually done a good job. They went there, and after landing there, they started taking care of their own salaries rather than taking care of the interests of the members of parliament. Now, from what the members have said, Honorable Speaker, I want to give specific examples. When you look at our police service and the policemen and women who are serving currently, Honorable Speaker, you'll be surprised to find that taking the normal civil service, if you look at the kind of insurance they are in as a public servant, and you compare that with the kind of insurance our police officers, Honorable Speaker, have, you find there's discrimination. The police officers have a worse, or have a, I would say that when you compare the two, their insurance is of low quality in terms of services provided as compared to public service. And you ask yourself, Honorable Speaker, between yourself and myself and a public servant, for example, a PS and a police officer, who is more exposed in terms of risk? You realize, Honorable Speaker, a policeman is more exposed in terms of risk as opposed to a permanent secretary, or as opposed to an administrative officer somewhere, or as opposed to an accountant who is also in the office. But to make things worse, their insurance is actually a third what the other people are getting. So, what I'm saying, short, Honorable Speaker, is the in-tray of this particular commissioner who will be joining, if appointed. Our in-tray is full. Members have just discussed the issue of the psychosocial support, Honorable Speaker, that our police officers have serious mental challenges, basically because of the environment they are working in. And I think it is important that even as this commissioner joins the SRC, that she knows that she has to do a lot of work. She has to go that extra mile to make sure that she actually champions the interests of the police officers. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, is the matter of the working, providing the tools for the work of a police person. Honorable Speaker, and I know you know this because I know, Honorable Speaker, you are aspiring to be a governor, so you must have covered your county very well. I'm sure in your own county, Honorable Speaker, there are areas when a normal citizen wants service from the police person, police station, they will be told to fuel the vehicles to go and be served. And Honorable Speaker, nothing can be worse than that we have given police officers a job to do, but we have not provided the tools for them to do the work. And I think as we think about the whole issue of this commissioner, then we need to make sure that our policemen are properly remunerated, they are properly insured, and at the same time they are properly provided with the required tools to do their work. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, is the matter of, the National Police Commission, which is overseeing these important officers, Honorable Speaker. When you look at what is happening, the National Police Commission is supposed to be taking care of all the officers in terms of ensuring that they get their right salary in time and all that. But you realize the way they are structured, I think there are some structural challenges the way they operate. And I also would wish that, Honorable Speaker, as we discuss these matters, that even the way the National Police Commission is structured, that they are given all the mandate to do their work. There is a bit of confusion between them and the Interior Department and the IG. So that confusion should be sorted out, Honorable Speaker, so that at the end of the day, these police officers who are doing a very important job for this country are properly taken care of. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this appointment and wish that we could have this commissioner appointed as soon as possible so that she takes her position and starts championing the interests of the police officers in this country. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I stand to support the report of the committee as presented by the Honorable Waihenya Ndirango in the appointment of this very gracious lady, Elizabeth Wangui Wamuchiri. Mr. Speaker, we are not supporting the appointment of Wangui Mushiri because she's a young Kenyan. We are not supporting her appointment because she's a lady. We are supporting Wangui's nomination because she is capable and she's up to the task. Mr. Speaker, this nominee is personally known to me because I met her way back after the proliferation of the airwaves, when the stations, FM stations were formed and new TV stations emerged. At that time, she was serving in the African Broadcasting Division, which preceded the NTV. Mr. Speaker, the allegations that are being made by people like the Honorable Oundo are because Wangui Mushiri suffers the tragedy that some of us suffer, some of us who have had very public jobs. Wangui Mushiri then was a presenter and an anchor. And to the mind of Kenyans, some still think that all Wangui has ever done for this country is presenting news and anchoring. But Mr. Speaker, as I said, this lady is very well known to me. She is indeed an asset to this country. She is very well educated, and even after she left our screens and went to her own private practice, she was able to further her education. She was able to get a career in the security sector. And in fact, as we speak today, Wangui Mushiri is one of the most celebrated security experts in this country, a fact that might not be known to many who still view her as a presenter or a broadcaster. Mr. Speaker, some of the attributes that I know of this lady is that she is a patriot. Wangui Mushiri loves her country. But this country has also invested in her, in the positions that she has taken up previously. And this investment cannot go to waste, Mr. Speaker. This is an investment that will come to use as she serves in the commission as a commissioner. Mr. Speaker, this lady is extremely committed to duty, and she is passionate whenever she's attending to her duties. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that as she goes into the commission, she has a lot of work to do. Mr. Speaker, she goes into the commission to serve the country, not only representing the police, but her core job will actually have to do with the police. As a commissioner, she will have to influence and persuade the commission to look at the plight of the police. Mr. Speaker, you have served for 5 years as a member of parliament. You do understand that security falls under national government. And so I know in your constituency, you know how the police are living. You know under what conditions these police are working. You know how their remuneration is looking. This is one of the things that we need patriotic Kenyans to be at SRC to attend to, Mr. Speaker. And I know Wangui Mushiri is up to the task. Mr. Speaker, there is the business of modernizing the police force. If you look at some of the things that are happening in the police, it is because they're informed by leadership that studied in the eras which were pre-colonial, Mr. Speaker. The pre-colonial training of our police sustains to date. And this is one of the issues that a commissioner sitting at the SRC will have to look at so that we are able to modernize the police force. Mr. Speaker, it has been said here before that while SRC is supposed to superintend and oversight the salaries of public servants, it has been unfortunate that SRC has found a punching bag in the Parliament of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, my plea to this very gracious lady, as she takes up her position as a commissioner, is that she should not join the bandwagon of those who sit at the commission and target this house as a punching bag. I know Wangui Mushiri is bigger than that. The people who serve in this house are actually public servants, serving under very difficult conditions, Mr. Speaker. So when the issues of public servants by the name of parliamentarians arrives at SRC, I do pray that we shall have a champion in the name of Wangui Mushiri. Mr. Speaker, the SRC needs to clean its house. It needs to clean its house internally, but also publicly. I said earlier that Wangui Mushiri is a celebrated media personality. Her know-how in communication will come in handy in putting up the best image of the commission to the world. Mr. Speaker, I would not want to put way more than that in support of this appointment, because I think that the sooner she gets appointed, the better, so that she can go and serve this country in this higher office, Mr. Speaker. So I do pray that this House shall see the merit in the service of this lady who has served her country very patriotically. This lady who is very well qualified, going by her academic records and by her experience that she has picked up in service. I do pray that the House shall agree with the committee and confirm the appointment of this nominee by the name of Elizabeth Wangui Mushiri. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I will take this early opportunity to wish you very well in your campaigns to become the next governor of Laikipia County. Laikipia needs Laikipia County, yes. Laikipia County does need a Kenyan, a patriot of the know-how and experience and commitment and passion that you do have, Mr. Speaker. I do pray that the people of Laikipia shall see the qualities that we see in you when you're leading this House and give you the opportunity to serve in that executive position so that you can transform that amazing county to be what it was made to be, a beautiful seat of God. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You know, Honorable Wawero, I wasn't sure what to do. When in that conclusion, I was in that situation where I'm not sure whether it is what the standing order consider outside. But thank you very much for that comment. Yes, we shall have Honorable, on top here we have Honorable Mwangi Buru. Honorable Koiburi, what is out of order? Is it that you're registering to speak? Yes. No, you cannot register to speak through the intervention.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know what you wanted to do, so I'm grateful because you wanted to call on something like 95. But I'm sorry, I have gotten that chance to contribute because of this great lady, Wangui Mushiri, a lady we have seen on our screens, a lady who is qualified. During the interview, we saw that this lady scored a whopping 85%, while the second one had only 72%. It is also kudos to the women of Kenya, our young daughters, who are always looking or aspiring to hold great positions in this country. So I appreciate the work of the committee. I appreciate the work of Waihenya and his committee. And I'm also very grateful that this lady has shown great concern and in the security industry and should be a big pillar in SRC when we're talking about police issues. Police have been having young men and women committing suicide, doing all sorts of things because they have no one who is fighting for them and fighting for their rights. They need to live in good conditions. They need to be remunerated well. They need to be motivated well. And Wangui Mushiri, being an expert in communication, being an expert in business management, I'm sure that she will offer that gap, she'll fill that gap of being the fighter for the police and being the fighter for our young men and women in uniform. So I'm in full support of the committee's report. I'm in full support of our president for appointing Elizabeth Wangui Mushiri. And I'm even proud that one of these fine days, I'll be able to meet this icon of the young girls. She has grown up in Korea, working in NTV very well, going to South Africa, working in US Embassy, working in the OP, becoming the director of communications. So she's a woman that has grown her career in a short time. Within her age of 46 years, she has grown her career to the peak. Now becoming a member of SRC will be a great thing too. So I'm in support, and I'm in support of the committee's work, and I hope that as we continue, we'll continue having more and more of our daughters holding these positions, and more of our police having a better life in their working environment. We'll have less and less committing suicide. We'll have less and less shooting each other because they'll feel like they are represented well in the SRC. With those few remarks, I support.
Honorable Buyu Akinyi. You have the mic.
It's me. Is it
Thank
me?
you.
Buyu Akinyi.
Mr. Speaker, kindly tell Honorable Barra that Rosa remains Rosa and is very different from Eve. So you said Buyu, so it's Buyu's turn.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The last time I checked, Buyu Akinyi was you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, it's still me.
Yeah, please.
The times have not changed from last, and now I'm still the same person.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on a light note, I'd like to also let you know that I acknowledge that you are going to run for governor for Laikipia, and after this, I'd be able to give you a bit of tips to win that seat. Mr. Speaker?
We must get Honorable Wang to be present, or...
I'll get Honorable Junet.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the recommendation by the Finance Committee on the appointment of Elizabeth. Mr. Speaker, first of all, her appointment to the SRC committee or commission actually drives us closer to meeting the requirements of Article 27 of the Constitution. She's not just a professional and a qualified person, but she's also a woman. So we know how Parliament or this House has been bedeviled with trying to meet the 2/3 gender rule, but here is an opportunity where the committee is actually getting Parliament closer to meeting that requirement. Mr. Speaker, I also sit in the committee of the Parliamentary Committee on Security and Administration, and I've come face to face with the plight of the police. Mr. Speaker, these are people who work very hard, but people who are not properly remunerated according to the work that they do, and people who live in very, very poor condition, Mr. Speaker. And I know that Elizabeth's role in that commission will be a national role, but I'm also happy that she'll be representing the police, because I know that she'll be able to bring into the fore the plight of the police officers who really, really need some focus of the country, Mr. Speaker. We've experienced a lot of insecurity situations in this country where many Kenyans have lost their lives, Mr. Speaker, not because the policemen are weak, but sometimes they're just not properly equipped or properly motivated to do their job. And with Elizabeth sitting in that commission, I know these are issues that she's going to bring to the fore, and she's going to discuss alongside discussions of plights of other Kenyans in different spheres. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, I support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We shall have Honorable Rono Kipkogei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also weigh in on the appointment of Wangui Mushiri for the job of Commissioner representing the police. Of course, not to be left out, I am also a supporter of your fight to be the governor of Laikipia, and I equally wish you all the best. Honorable Speaker, the lady Mushiri, we have heard so much about her, and we know her capability so well. It has come out very well, and we actually have faith that she will aptly represent the police force in SRC Commission. All I want her to do, as my colleague Kiarie and Makali Muli have rightfully said, is that as she represents the police force in SRC, she should also be part and parcel of strengthening SRC. At one point in time, SRC almost messed their name by actually demonizing our salaries here in Parliament. But all said and done, all have been straightened, and we know with the wealth of experience of Madam Mushiri, she will equally add that wealth of experience in the commission of SRC. She should also further know that the police force are living in deplorable conditions. Their salaries are quite low, and the job they do is actually taking care of literally every one of us here and in the whole country. So it is important that their welfare are looked at, their housing is looked at, their allowances are looked at, their salaries are looked at, their health insurance is also equally looked at. As Kiare rightfully put, we are not supporting her because she's a lady. We are supporting her because of her experience, because of her rich CV. She is bringing in wealth of experience to this body by the name SRC. And we shall actually see the fruits in the very near future. So I thank the Committee of Finance, and I thank the people who have equally supported the appointment of the lady, Madam Mushiri. I support, Honorable Speaker.
Now, Honorable Baraki, now it is your turn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I too stand to support the report of the committee and support the appointment of Wangui Mushiri as a commissioner in the Salaries Review Commission. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said, and I too want to add my voice to support her, given that, one, she has the requisite qualification and has a wealth of experience. She's coming in at a time when the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has been on the spot and would require the injection of new blood into the commission. Mr. Speaker, we are all aware, and it's in the public domain, that the welfare and the terms and conditions of the police has been wanting. We are talking about the commission at the time when we have had so many challenges with the police service. We have had numerous cases of homicide, numerous cases of suicide, numerous cases of so many other unwarranted killings within the police service, and mainly emanating from issues of the state of the mind. Mr. Speaker, as much as many people are saying that we are not appointing her or praising her because she's a woman and she has the experience, but I'm happy that it is a woman who has been picked for this position. Because as women, we have a different perspective in the way in which we look at social issues that affect our people. There is no better person than a woman who would be able to add value to this commission by the virtue of the fact that she is a woman, in the way that we are nurtured, and two, that she has an experience, and three, that she's young and probably will be able to connect with the issues affecting the young people today. Once again, I support. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Bogomenza. Honorable Bogomenza seems to have taken early leave. Honorable Ngeno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to look into this this appointment of the commissioner to the SRC. Mr. Speaker, I think SRC is a very fundamental body in our nation because it looks into the issue of salaries and salary remuneration and looks into what exactly, or they normally do what we call proper analysis on how each and every state officer, civil servants, and anybody else who is earning from the government should be earning that money. Mr. Speaker, I have no problem with this lady. She's a young lady. As when you look at the CV, she's a lady. She's also learned. She's also smart. Looks like she's smart, and a media personality, and all those other issues which people have raised. I think I have no problem with that, Mr. Speaker, and I believe she's up to the task that that is actually lying before her. But, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the National Police Service Commission, just like any other commission in this country, Mr. Speaker, this commission has not been given the best opportunity, the chance to run its affairs. Remember, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the Judicial Service Commission, the chair of the JSC is a judge. When you look at many other commissions, their chairs are usually an insider, a person from that particular profession. And I think we should also give these people and the TSC the opportunity to be served by the chair who is from that profession, so that these are people who would understand the plight and the situation those people are facing. Same case with the appointment of this lady. I was expecting somebody who should have served as a police officer, somebody who should have gone through the problems and the myriads of issues that police people go through, so that when you're taken there, you go and look, you go and defend, you go and actually champion the problems these people are facing. Now we have a person from some position coming from somewhere who do not even understand what a police officer is facing when they are sent to northeastern part of Kenya, when they are sent to the borders, how these people sleep, how their families spend the little money they get. So many issues that police people normally face. I was expecting that we should have picked somebody who understands the plight these people are facing. That is why when a representation from Parliamentary Service Commission is made, we normally sit and say, let's get somebody who has been maybe a member of parliament, because that is a person who understands the plight of the members of parliament. So I was also expecting that maybe next time, let us look, when we are looking for a representation, let us look for somebody who understands that profession, who understands the background of the people that person is going to represent in that commission, Mr. Speaker, so that they will be able to articulate the issues those people are facing. Mr. Speaker, I also thought, and this one, we will pass this lady, of course, but I also wish that next time when we are doing commissions, we should also read the Constitution, which looks for balancing within the regional balancing and the gender. As we are looking at the gender balancing, we should also look at regional balancing. We also look at people with disabilities. There are communities in this country who have never been represented anywhere. Yes, there's so many communities. The Juras, the Dorobos, the Ogieks, the Iljamus. These are people who may not be represented until Jesus comes back. And I believe they will be represented in heaven. We should also make it a responsibility of this house to represent those people. There are those of us who we are almost full in government. When you go to every department of this country, you find us. I wouldn't say if she was a lady from my region, I would have contested against it, because we have occupied so many spaces. Why can't we also allow these other people who have never occupied any position in government, not even in this house, even MCAs, they are not represented. Even the smallest of the small positions, even in the villages, they are not represented. Next time, let us represent those people in such very lucrative and serious positions where we make serious decisions. Mr. Speaker, I'm not contesting that. I'm not contesting this lady, but I'm saying next time, bring us people who will also represent regional balances and who should look at and who should be focusing on equity and equality and those things in the country. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I wish to say I wish this lady the best, and I also wish her, among the other commissioners, to be looking at focusing exactly how people earn, or how the ratings of the amount of salaries people should be getting, not going there with political minds, so that instead of actually looking at the prime issues which are concerning the commission, they are looking at the political issues which are concerning the commissions. We as a house, we wouldn't wish to be fighting with SRC, we wouldn't wish to be fighting with other commissions, but we want them to be performing their work. So what I'm saying is, if this lady is to pass through or to go through, then she should also go and focus, and especially on those people who earn little and they do a lot in this country. The police people, the police officers are those people who work day and night to ensure our security is okay. These are people who secure our borders, other than even the KDF. The police also secure our borders. These are people who do those dirty works that normal people cannot do. And yet, when you look at their salaries, you just wonder. That is why these people normally indulge themselves on bad things. They drink, they kill themselves, they steal, they even hire or they lend their guns to be used by robbers, because they cannot, they cannot meet the needs of their families. These are people who should earn money. Give them money. Give them good loans so that they can also run their families, because they are like us. They are like everybody. Why should a member of parliament earn $1 million and doing very little, appearing in parliament technically, maybe once in a blue moon, and earning $1 million, while a police officer who is on uniform 24 hours, because a police officer works for 24 hours. Why should those people earn 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000? While members who have their members, we are parting ways in the next 2 months in this house, Mr. Speaker, who I don't even know, because they rarely appear in this house. And they are going home with over 50 million as in form of salary in this house, Mr. Speaker. So it is a shame that, and I want this lady, Wangoi, to go and look into that. Look into even every member of this house has a police officer behind him or her. And they are not looking at the salaries those people are earning. I wish at some point we bring those salary remuneration to this house so that we can also discuss the equality of salaries in this country. Because there are people who deserve to earn not less than 50,000 and above. A police officer should be earning not less than 50,000, just like the rest of Kenyans. And these are people who carry the load of everybody. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling upon this lady, who we are going to pass, to go and ensure that atete askari wetu. Atete askari wetu. Asante, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honorable Ngeno, are you sure the member of parliament does very little? Because that's what you have said. I am sure the member of parliament works 24 hours as well. Is an example? They work 24 hours. Even when they are not in the chamber. Even when they are not in the chamber, they're in the constituency working. Let's have Honorable Abdi.
Let me go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to agree with the report, the vetting report of the Departmental Committee of Finance and National Planning. But that said, Mr. Speaker, I think the issue of equity in terms of distribution of this position is very important. I was just whispering to my colleague, the clan I hail from Majurans, who have never seen these positions totally. It is important that this position is fairly distributed. I think we have heard a lot about Muchiris when we were passing nominees here. It is also important that we hear other Kenyans, especially coming from vulnerable community like the Juran community, so that they equally feel proud that they are Kenyans and they deserve this position. That said, it is my hope that this lady has excellent contextual understanding of this country, especially on security-related issues. Mr. Speaker, police officers are living in very deplorable situation. I can assure you that some of them, in some parts of this country, especially at the border areas, a good example is a place called Gurar Police Station. I can assure you that they are exposed to the direct heat of the sun rays, and the direct heat of the sun rays, as well as the rains as well. It is important that this nominee has a good contextual understanding of this country. Indeed, some places like the border areas, in terms of security, I can assure you that their lives are at risk themselves. A member of the security committee was just admitting that at times they are obliged to get even fuel. Whoever they are attending to is supposed to fuel their vehicles. That is how much they are exposed to risks. They are expected to fight terror groups like Al-Shabaab and, at the borders. They are exposed to this kind of risk. It is my hope that this lady has a good contextual understanding of especially what is happening in northern Kenya. I would have been very happy if we could get a nominee from northern Kenya today representing SRC, because I can assure you that the threats security officers are exposed to at the border areas is unbelievable. That said, I still hope that she's up to the task. I still hope that she will make visits to these parts of the country. I still hope that she will have her way to understand what is really happening, so that as they make decision, they make informed decision that is cognizant of the difficult situations these people are exposed, cognizant of the risks they are exposed to. And based on that, they are motivated. Indeed, when you look at the salaries of police officers, as our member has just mentioned, they are one of the lowest paid people. And I am made to understand that some of them who have got their degrees and masters are yet to be even recognized. These are issues, the nitty-gritties related to the difficult circumstances police officers are exposed to. These are issues that this lady should be cognizant of as at now, such that when she's representing them in the commission, then she's going to make an informed decision that will improve the lives of these people. It is my hope that she doesn't belong to the class of people who just live in Nairobi and other big places, who are not conversant of the difficulties these people are exposed to, and will just agree with any other decisions made by the commission. Mr. Speaker, once again I want to reiterate that police officers in Kenya are exposed to a lot of difficulties. They are exposed to a lot of risks. They are extremely underpaid. It is the high time that SRC will look into this. I don't agree with the member who said that members of parliament are in comfort zone. Totally, we are not in comfort zone. But the difference is that we may not be exposed to the risks the police officers are exposed to. And that could be the difference. That said, we are not saying they should be paid whatever amount of money we are paid, but we must. I think SRC is under obligation to give unique consideration to SRC, and we challenge this lady that the next report coming from SRC will be specifically one that will see the unique and the difficult circumstances police officers are exposed to, and they will address. That said, we wish her all the best. We wish she's going to make visit to the most difficult parts of this country. northern Kenya, in particular the border areas. She will understand the security challenge so that when she's representing police officers in these meetings, then she can bring all those issues out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Emaniko.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief because I'll be speaking in the next motion. I wish to support the motion of the appointment of this lady. Honorable Speaker, I do not know her personally, but listening to the people who have spoken and who really know her, she has the right qualification. And gender-wise, as women, we really laud this move by the government to appoint women, and we want more women. Experience-wise, she has the requirements that are needed, and even the personnel, listening to Honorable JK, who knows her, the character is quite admirable, and we hope that she will meet our expectations. However, Honorable Speaker, we really want to urge the government to do a regional balancing when doing these appointments, because we are suffocated with the same kind of names every time appointments have come. For the last 4 years, I don't remember us vetting or even discussing any appointment from the Turkana County or other pastoralist regions. The last person we did vet was CS Muñez, and that is it. I know that we have not gone to school, but I think we need to do something about regional balancing. And talking of the police, it just reminds me of the incidents that happened last week in Turkana and Samburu and Pokot, where we had several attacks. We lost people, we lost property. There are highway banditry between Kainuk and Lodwar, and I think we really rely on our police to take charge. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Muchangi, Jiro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to support the appointment of Elizabeth Wangoi Mushiri. Mr. Speaker, I have taken time to go through her CV, and I can confirm that, Mr. Speaker, this is a very well-educated lady, a person who is well experienced and exposed to issues of governance, having worked in the Office of the President, in the US Embassy, and other places. And Wangoi Mushiri, Mr. Speaker, is a relatively young Kenyan, and I believe she has what it takes to serve in the commission and give the best contribution in that commission. Mr. Speaker, I have in my office worked with women, and I've even given them managerial positions. And I have seen them execute their mandate very well, and I have come to believe that what men can do, also women can do. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the rest of the members of parliament here who believe that Wangoi Mushiri will do a good job. And also, Mr. Speaker, her being a nominee representing the police, the national police, I believe she will go there and help, or rather sort the welfare of the police, because these are officers who are very demotivated sometimes. I can remember just recently when we were told that those police officers who undertook higher qualifications, those who went ahead, took loans, and acquired their degrees, will not be promoted. And for sure, they haven't been promoted. And this is a demotivation to them, because even those that have been promoted earlier on and their money is recovered, and they are being told to return the money that had been paid before. This is pure demotivation, and I believe these are some of the reasons why some of our police officers are killing themselves and killing others. So I want to support the appointment of Wangui Mushiri, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Munene.
Mike, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to add my voice in supporting the motion and the report by the committee for the appointment of Elizabeth Wangui Mushiri. From the report by the committee, it's a lady of integrity. She has what it takes, and she has all the qualifications which require her, or which behoves the order of such an office. More importantly, Mr. Speaker, this is the right time to have a representative of the police service in the commission. We are all aware what our police force are going through, especially when we come to the issue of their salaries and their benefits vis-a-vis what other civil servants are enjoying. We are aware that even in terms of their insurance, it is far much below compared to what their civil servants are getting. And I believe to represent the police service effectively so that their benefits, their remuneration are brought at par with the rest of civil servants, and also their housing, those issues of psychiatric issues, because we also know what is facing the police force or the police service. So we should not even delay even a single minute for the police service to have their representative in the commission who will be able to articulate their issues. And we also know towards this election time how much actually we require the police service to be at its best. And I think Wangui should be able to come into the commission and articulate those issues. Mr. Speaker, there is no, from the report, there is not even an issue of integrity which has been raised. And having satisfied the requirement of Chapter 6, I think as a parliament, we should support this report and the recommendation of the committee for the appointment of this lady to be in this commission. With those few ones, Mr. Speaker, I do support, and I do thank you for giving me a chance to contribute.
Now, there being no other member willing to contribute to this particular motion, we shall have the mover now replying. Order, Honorable Bai. You know you must register interest to speak, and the interest is here. I must see your name in the screen. If I don't see, I can't tell whether Honorable Bai you want to speak. You want to contribute within 1 minute? Well, Honorable Dirango had called you. Let's have Honorable Bai as the last person contributing to this. Honorable Bai, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to this motion. First of all, I stand to support the motion and the appointment of Wangui because she earned it through merit, not because she's a lady or another factor, but the matrix which had been set for the interview and verification, Mr. Speaker, she went through and we withdrew what she scored. Mr. Speaker, on the same breath, I would want to say something which I think should be taken into consideration by the committee and this House. I don't know why the police should be represented by a civilian where we are discussing the salaries of the police. As in, we can't explain why we have a civilian seated under the seat or on the seat or below the seat where the salaries of the police is being discussed. as in no one can understand the challenges of the other. As in, imagine, Mr. Speaker, today we had a commission where we needed something about media, and a police officer was nominated to go and represent the media in a certain commission. Kenya would be banning today, Mr. Speaker. The media will be all over. Media ganging, media steward. But imagine now we are forcing a media personality to represent the police. What I know, it's not a mistake by Wangui, but it's a mistake by those who came up with the matrix. I remember when we were doing the Police Service Commission, there were 2 slots through the Constitution left for retired police officers. 2 slots made for retired police officers. I think under this Salaries and Remuneration Commission, if the police is to be discussed there all through, we need a different matrix so that we can have a police officer in this commission to discuss and look over the matters of the police. You can't subject, Mr. Speaker, somebody who has been in these high offices with somebody who has been in Kachelimba. A police officer coming for interview from Kachelimba and another person coming from interview from the US Embassy. Mr. Speaker, the one will score 80 and the other one will score 20. So the matrix has to be different. The exam can't be the same so that the police can get an opportunity to speak for themselves. Further, I would, because we are members here and we are looking at it, I would urge Madam Wangui, head and gets appointed, to serve, knowing the people she's serving. The police are under a lot of challenges, but it is possible to help the police get out of these challenges. With my experience and my background with the police service, Mr. Speaker, back in 2008, when the former President Kibaki came to power, I was a police corporal. I was earning 7,000. But Kibaki tripled our salaries. I remember the following month, Mr. Speaker, I got 21,000. How could the salary move from 7,000 to 21,000? There was no magic. This was a human being. Kibaki is a human being, and he tripled the salaries of the police. So we expect the same to be done. And this commission is like, they don't understand what the police are going through. So I hope this lady will use communication skills and her experience from elsewhere to make sure the police is taken care of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to thank all the members who have given in the kind words and support for the nominee, citing her background and the reasons why they are supporting her. Mr. Speaker, I wish to disagree with the Honorable Member for Funyura, Honorable Wilberforce Oudo, who was suggesting that somebody might have pushed or helped Ms. Wangui Mushi to come up this far. I want to assure him that it is a matter of meritocracy. She's qualified, she has merit, she is a patriotic Kenyan, she has the qualifications, she's an international worker, Mr. Speaker, and is up to the task, and that she is a trailblazer. Mr. Speaker, if you go back to the results, how she performed in the interview, you see she performed at 85%. The nearest contender only managed 72 marks. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure members that somebody who has merited an award from the US government because of high performance, that is the head of state, the seal of the President of the United States government at the White House, issued by President
Barack Obama is not a joke. Mr. Speaker, Ms. Mushiri was tasked with publicity and crusading for the visit of President Obama in Kenya and in Africa, which was a very big success. She has also received other local and international awards, and she deserves it. And we as a committee were satisfied. Like all the other organizations that supported her and recommended her, we were satisfied that she is up to the task. I therefore recommend, together with this House, Mr. Speaker, that this House do recommend her for appointment